Okay, so first off, if you have not seen Revice, maybe you only watch Super Sentai and you don't watch Kamen Rider, don't know about it. Revice is probably top 3 favorite series for me. That just wrapped up this weekend, so go watch it because this episode is literally designed to not overshadow the final episode of Revice. And how hard that hits. It hits hard. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to do... I'll wait till like Wednesday or Thursday this week. I'll wait till later this week and we'll talk about Revice. I'll put up a video to kind of talk about the series as a whole and whatnot. And that finale, man. Woo! Really, the last 2 episodes, I thought really just hit the feels. So that's all I'm going to say. Again, don't watch the last 2 episodes if you haven't seen the whole series of Revice, but, if you're still kind of catching up, you're still maybe a couple episodes behind, the very end of Revice gets very good, in my opinion. I didn't like the whole stuff with George turning basically into a villain for, like, 3 episodes or whatever, but that's... I'm off topic because, like, again, this week, there's essentially nothing. There's no point to this episode. This is literally if you want to jump into DonBrothers, but you didn't want to watch all, 26 episodes, 27 episodes? Here, I have it pulled up. Let's see. 26. So if you did not want to watch all 26 episodes leading up to this point, they go over the origins of how, well, we see most of them, how most of them get their powers. There was one little part which I do not remember. I don't know why. It's been, obviously, 26 episodes. But there was one little part where Don Blue... we see him when he gets his powers, picks up a phone, almost implying that he was not supposed to be the original Don Blue for this series. So I think that could be a very good episode. And if, something to do down the line is like, hey, like, you're not the one that the phone was after. Because obviously, if you don't remember, there was 3 of them. Obviously, we see 3 of them get chosen by their phones, by this like slot machine thing. And the eyes open up, and there's a 4th eye that opens up and chooses them to be the DonBrothers. Don Blue stumbles upon a phone on the ground, which, again, it's kind of like I guess I'm making up a theory here of, hey, he's not supposed to be the new Don Blue. Obviously, there's been past iterations, but he's not supposed to be the current one. It's supposed to be someone else, but they just lost their phone for whatever reason. So I think that'd be kind of interesting. Obviously, I don't remember. I'm going to have to go back and watch like the first 3 episodes again because I don't remember that. But if that's what it is, again, I think that would be a very cool tipping off point of, hey, remember this from the very first episode? We're going back to that, deep in the season. I think that'd be very cool. So just kind of pay attention. If they do that, I called it. No, I'm kidding. But just, it's been foreshadowed since the first, was it episode 1? I think it was it 2? He shows up in basically the intro episode. So that's just one thing I took away from. Other than that, the freaking the trailer last week was misleading because, yes, again, this is like basically like a non-canon. Like, you don't even need this episode in the series. It's just to not overshadow Revice. And so you see all of them kind of in the fog in the cafeteria. Like, that's not in the cafeteria. In the cafe. That doesn't really happen. I mean, it kind of happens like in the intro again too, but it doesn't really happen in the episode. It's kind of just like a split-second thing, just kind of say like, hey, like, choose one of us. But then what I thought like people could choose, like people in Japan would like pick their favorites or whatever. It ended up being Kaito that picked the favorite here, or the MVP. So I guess he was trying to set up this whole thing the whole time. To make them all argue and say, hey, like, want to use the MVP? And he had an envelope at the end of the episode and says, I wonder who it is. And I mean, again, I can spoil it right now because literally they just go through Don Yellow's intro, Don Blue's intro, Don Pink's intro, Don Black's intro, and then Don Red's intro, and then we get Don Dragon, Don Tiger, and well, I guess before I spoil it, I guess I will say, this episode just basically confirmed that the Megazord for the Sixth Ranger, Don Tiger and Don Dragon, is on par with the 5 Robotaro forms Megazord, the Don Robotaro Megazord. The 6 Ranger alone, it's split into, his 2 personalities, is as strong as Don Robotaro. So I thought that was really interesting. I guess we're adding kind of some power scaling here and going, hey, like, we're adding that. We're going to put that in. It's a line in the episode, so, people can debate all they want. Which, I mean, that just basically states that however powerful the final Megazord, which again, it'll probably be all 7 of them combined, is basically fighting them separated, but their power combined is like double it or whatever they're going to say. So that is interesting. I thought that was another little nugget. Because I don't think it was ever confirmed until this episode that the Megazords are on par. Usually they don't really do that usually in these series. Now you can kind of tell, when other series have done Megazord battles, you kind of tell like, hey, like 6 Ranger comes in and they're just as powerful. Maybe they're more powerful than the current Megazord that what the main 5 have. But by the end of the series, all those Megazords are getting beaten up until they combined into the one huge Megazord, the final Megazord. So, I mean, I guess it's the same formula, but this just kind of confirmed that, like, hey, like, when a 6 Ranger always is going to come in, he's always going to at least be on par with the current Megazord, maybe even stronger than the current Megazord. So, again, just little nuggets here and there that I caught that I thought were very interesting. But to get to it, the MVP ended up being Kaito. And the dumb thing, I don't understand this at all. They are saying this Kaito is the same Kaito from Zenkaiger, the same one from the previous series. Despite he somehow got a brand new suit. We see during Zenkaiger, I think it was like 42 or 43, late in the season, we see Zenkaiger literally summons Don Red, and we see Don Red fights in the series. So obviously, it doesn't make sense, is what I'm saying. I think they should have gone with, hey, this is a different Zenkaiger. He took a different path. But they basically implied that it's the same Zenkaiger from the previous series. Despite the fact that we saw Kaito in the previous series go to other worlds with his buddies, with the rest of the team. What happened to the rest of the team? Why is there no robots? Was it Kikoinoids? I think is what they're called. Why is there no Kikoinoids in this city, in this world of DonBrothers? That's what I don't like, is they just... I don't think they watched... obviously, it's probably a different group of writers for this. But I don't think they communicated when they said, hey, we're going to have Don Red show up in the Zenkaiger, and then somehow between then and the start of, obviously when we see the start of DonBrothers, obviously Don Red has his powers already. So that you can say, hey, that fits in, that's why he's, that's why Don Red is able to recognize Kaito. But that implies that before episode 42 or whatever it was that Don Red showed up in Zenkaigers, implies that he knew about the black and white form of this DonBrothers series, which doesn't make any sense because there's no reference to it. There's no implication that, hey, like Kaito kind of had a different mindset, kind of became, well, I guess you could say like a depressed Kaito, I guess would be like an interesting way to say it. But he didn't really, like, he was always bubbly, smiley, just, upbeat and whatnot. And so the fact that Don Red recognized Kaito in, a different suit implies that it's different Kaito, which, again, just, it doesn't make sense to me how this was all set up. They should have gone with a whole different route of, hey, this is a Kaito from a different universe. Obviously, they didn't show any of the other Zenkaigers fight, because they did a little video package for Kaito in the Zenkaiger suit, not the DonBrothers black and white suit, the red and white suit. Well, it's basically all white. But basically, red and white versus black and white. They showed that. And we still don't know how he became a black and white suited Zenkaiger. So I think they could have done a lot better with this. Obviously, again, it's a joke, but if you if you take 5 seconds to actually think about this, think about what they're saying, it contradicts the whole series. It contradicts Zenkaiger. It makes no sense at all what they're trying to do here. So I don't know. And he also says, like, hey, I've been fighting for a very long time, so that's why I'm the MVP. Is like Kaito a split personality like the Sixth Ranger here, and we've just seen this Kaito go off and do his own thing? But then why would he have the red and white suit? I don't know. I'm thinking into this, and it's just I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't know what's going on. They messed up. They really just. I don't know. This episode, again, it's not meant to be anything. This is the definition of a filler episode, is what this is. So maybe I'm thinking too deep into this, but you don't have to think very deep into it. If you've seen Zenkaiger, you don't have to think deep into this if you've seen the whole series, because again, Don Red shows up in Zenkaiger. So it screws up a lot of things here. And we're 11 minutes in, and I've talked about these little nuggets and gone on a rant about Kaito. I mainly wanted to talk about next week's episode here, and so I'm gonna keep this. I'm not gonna restart because I'm gonna keep this little rant in here about Kaito. Next week's episode, oh my god, they're saying, hey, that new Rider series, which I don't even remember the name of. Is it like Gias or something? Genis or I forget. I could pull it up. It'd take me like 5 minutes to pull it up, so I'm not gonna do that. But this like new series, they're saying, screw you. We're having a huge battle next week. We're gonna take up and overshadow this brand new series of Rider. There's so much that happened in this trailer. I could literally talk about it for like 10-15 minutes. I'm gonna try not to because this is already a long thing. We're already 12 and a half minutes in. But we see basically the evil Blue Ranger wants to basically have a final confrontation with Don Red, which was basically, it was talked about at the very end of this episode of like, hey, like, Don Red's my rival. I don't really care about the Sixth Ranger, even though he is part of the Don clan. He is probably, one of the strongest, or if not the strongest. And so he basically says, next time, and it's kind of like a fourth wall break, because he says, next time, Don Red, you and me, we're going at it. we're duking this out. We're gonna finish this next time. Which again set up the trailer for next week, and the trailer hits hard. There's everyone. You see the Bestials coming out. We see was it Don Purple? Is it Most of Me? I think is what it is. We have all the DonBrothers fighting different battles. We have all the evil Rangers out there fighting. We see one shot of like everyone fighting around, and then the evil Blue Ranger and Don Red are back to back, and oh my god, I can't wait. Next week just looks insane, and I feel so bad for the Rider series because again, it's an intro episode. It's gonna be probably first 4 episodes are gonna be an intro episode. So I feel so bad because they're taking the spotlight. They said, we don't want to steal Revice's spotlight, but that new series, nope, screw you. So I can't wait. We're probably going to see characters die off. This is probably like the end of the arc fight. Like, this is it for this arc fight, which if we see the evil Rangers die off, it's going to suck because I like them as characters. I would rather they stick around the whole series, even post-series when they're kind of, get is it not reinformed? I forget whatever. They basically become anti-heroes, they become, better beings and whatnot, Cerebrians. So I would prefer if they don't die, but next week, and maybe it's a two-parter, because there's just so much action in next week's episode. Maybe next week it's part one of a two-parter. where we see people die. We see the bestials, come out. They become the main villains. I mean, we're not gonna probably get a new here. That'd be kind of weird. We get like an eighth ranger, which is technically the seventh ranger, but getting like an eighth ranger because again we have two six rangers, so we have sixth and a seventh ranger, but it's technically just the same guy. Just so, but it'd be weird, and I kind of interesting to see another ranger kind of show up, like another hero show up on this team. I've stated in the past, I'm like, they got to build up these characters they have, and they haven't been doing that. So again, maybe we get another ranger, and he's just instantly as strong as everyone else, or that purple ranger might just become part of the team after she. Well, it's a woman's voice, so that girl after she gets unbrainwashed or whatever from whoever this mother is, maybe she becomes part of the team too. So again, I'm interested to see. Everyone's coming back for this next episode, so they literally said, filler. Right to it. We're probably gonna have a lot of storytelling. We're gonna probably have a lot of plot in this. Again, people might die in this episode next week. I'm excited. It's Monday. I do my reviews on Monday because that's when the subbed version releases. I have to wait 7 days for this episode. I'm already excited, so it's going to be a long 7 days to wait for this. So for now, though, like the video, share the video around, don't forget to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on next week's episode. I don't really need to know thoughts on this week's episode because, again, it was literally all filler. They just recapped basically the whole series. So, yeah, that's about it. I'm excited to see where the second half of this, where DonBrothers goes after the second half, next arc, next two arcs. I'm very excited. So, with all that said, I'm out of here. Peace.